Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of sports, specifically hockey. I guess even more specifically in Canada. I'm your co-host, Mick, leader of the Winnipeg Jets bandwagon this week. Choo-choo, playoffs. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Grant, on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. Mick introduced me to a new term. Apparently, when you play with yourself through your pocket, it's called pocket pool. Just right before we hit record, so might have to adjust my. I consider myself a bit of a shark when it comes to that kind of thing. Like, you never know. It's super sneaky, little under the covers, but next thing you know, it's like bam, pockets or balls in pockets, no problem. Cool. That's my jam.
8-ball corner pocket all day. All day, yeah. I think it's only a man term. I don't think we can use it for women, mostly because their pants actually don't have pockets. So, like, you can't really access anything from, like, the little tiny pockets. Fashion, am I right?
It's so funny you mentioned pantsless pockets. I was just hanging out with a family member. I'm not going to name names. He's like, I love these pants, but I don't get why there's no pockets in them. I was like, that's because they're lady pants. So...
Yep. You can't hide those hips. So that's a shame. That's a shame. We were not here last week. We were back 2 weeks ago. I don't know what we talked about. Is that when we kind of looked at like the top scorers, tried to make you and me feel better? Because in theory, the Leafs and Oilers should probably make a Stanley Cup Finals at some point, given the core that they currently have, just based historically. I think it was just standard issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have one thing, but I think I can tie it into the Montreal Canadiens. So as we're going through headlines, we'll run through the Canadian teams, just kind of stories that are, that aren't. There's a couple dead franchises, a couple teams that are making things frisky, and then some boring franchises that are kind of a wait-and-see approach, right? Playoff bound. We're going to give you some fantasy advice, some gambling advice. Look at some boobs. Be a good show.
That sounds delightful.
It's the only reason I get up on Saturday mornings. So, like last week, I had nothing. I wasn't recording with you. I wasn't recording with anyone else. Was Tamara, like my wife, may not even have been here. I just woke up and I had like no purpose in life, and I was like, what am I going to do?
So what's it called when you're playing with yourself outside of your pockets? Like, do we have a cool term we could coin for that? Or is it just regular playing with yourself?
Yeah, I think at that point, if it's outside of pockets, it's just... No, obviously I did that. Obviously I was a shark of that. But like other than that, I was like, I got nothing. So, yeah. But as alluded to, I did have a point. So if we go to the bottom of the standings, scroll up, fifth from the bottom, the Montreal Canadiens doing a good job of tanking here. And yeah, I think anything. Would you have anything with Montreal, or are they just kind of?
So it's been a couple weeks. One thing that stood out, who did they beat recently? Carolina? That's the only thing noteworthy. They've lost to some shit teams, and then they knock off the Carolina Hurricane. Was it Carolina, or is that who they played tonight? Or do they have back-to-back?
Absolutely, it was Carolina, and it was just a random... Go figure, right? So my talking point that I wanted to... So 2 weeks ago, the big talking point that night was James Reimer decided not to wear a Pride jersey during the San Jose Sharks game later that evening due to his religious beliefs. That week, I believe, it was the Florida Panthers, both Stahl brothers, citing also religious beliefs, will not be taking part in the Pride jersey ceremonies. And again, they're just warm-up jerseys at this point. They're not even like actual jerseys for the game. You don't have to wear anything rainbowy during the game, just for warm-up. Lots of people don't even see that. No one on television, just people in-house. And even then, you're probably not getting a full house because it's way before the game even starts, right? So like a very, very small sample size. But of course, God has always said, I hate gay people. So you can't do it. You know, it says right in the Bible. It's kind of how it works. He says, I'm a loving guy, but I hate certain types of people. There was photos, because the internet's a great thing, minutes after Eric Stahl came out and said, I would never be caught dead wearing a Pride jersey. It means too much to my Christian soul. People then were showing him pictures on their phone. Well, then why did you wear one last year in Montreal?
Did you see that it got the Curb Your Enthusiasm treatment too?
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. The internet does nice things. So but that kind of made me think. It's weird that an organization like the Montreal all the guys just suit up, do what's right, be inclusive, create an inclusive environment, because that's important to grow your brand, to not just be a bunch of fucking bigots. Cool, great, because people don't like that for some reason. I think the major difference of what we're seeing from these organizations, and this is a two-sided conversation, so let's get through the first part, and then I'll come at the devil's advocate too. San Jose, Florida, you are bullshit organizations. You barely should be considered hockey teams. You have no history. You barely are struggling. You don't make the postseason. Who are your best players? Like, you could go through and say, what, like Pavel Bure for the Panthers, right? And then you have to get Aaron or Barkov. Those are your two best players. You're a bullshit team. If it wasn't for Joe Thornton playing in San Jose for those years, you never won a cup. You were good for a while, but again, very, very poorly run, piss-poor organizations. You get to a good team, a great organization that has something to stand for, that has some type of pride, that can help other people be inclusive. Kudos to Montreal, because I imagine Eric Stahl was pissy, and someone in Montreal came and put their foot down and said, no, we're not dealing with this bullshit. Wear the fucking jersey. Shut the fuck up. This is how things run, and that's how an organization should run. It should be top down. It should be the jersey on the logo on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. So kudos to Montreal for doing that and keeping those stories quiet. And shame on all those franchises that are letting these things run rampant because they're a bunch of cowards.
I like that we got to start a soapbox segment for you, where it's like, guess what? Kind of like Peter Griffin's Grind My Gears. We get the Mick Rutschman lasso or Wild Wild West roundup. I don't know. We can come up. We'll workshop it. Right. We're not handcuffed to those names, but I couldn't agree more. And the thing so I know that we are a hockey podcast. Ray's bullpen did this last year with their rainbow hats anyways.
Okay.
So same thing. It was just rainbow hats. That was it. It wasn't like, it was just the TB that was rainbow. They said, no, we're not wearing those. And I went to Tampa Bay and there was just racks of these hats. And I thought, okay, how do you make sports more inclusive when organizations won't even make the standard that this is just what we're doing? So I appreciate your perspective on the Montreal Canadiens, and I think that you're on the right track, because somebody said put the jersey on, and he put the jersey on. So,
and there is no discussion point, right? Because the organization is greater than any individual player, right? We will persist. The Florida Panthers, there is a chance that they could go away, right? If it wasn't for the guys on the ice. Like, they kind of need the players, right? So it's because they're fucking bullshit. They shouldn't exist. If it wasn't for 4 Stanley Cup appearances by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the last 20 years, they would be fucking abysmal. There'd be no reason for Florida hockey, right? So, and I mean, if you want to put tinfoil hats, like, I can take the tinfoil out of my hat here. It probably wasn't the most straight up wins for some of those Tampa Bay games, right? So, but we won't have to get into that just now. We'll pretend like this is everyone does have a fair chance. The other point I wanted to bring up was the other side of that coin. The Chicago Blackhawks have 3 Russian-born players who currently spend the off-season in Russia, and in December there was a bill passed in Russia outlawing online activity supporting LGBTQ community. So I don't know how I feel, because it is a double-edged sword. The health and safety of players is paramount right before inclusion. If you have Nikita Zaitsev going to visit his parents in Russia and ending up in jail this summer for 10 years because he wore a Pride jersey, that is actually kind of not the right approach either, right? So it is kind of a fine line. So I want to give a pass to maybe the Flyers for not pushing Provorov to say, no, wear this jersey. I want you to spend a decade in jersey. You know what I mean? It's such a fine line with those things. I just think it was handled really poorly too, right?
I will say this, though. There probably are some Russian players that, let's reframe this. The Chicago Blackhawks may be better off not having a few of their players on their roster.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
So maybe this is the free pass for the rebuilds. Oh, guess what? We got all this cap. We've got $40 million in cap salary. We could just pass out here, guys, trade for Zaitsev and give us 2 firsts. Maybe this is the rebuilding strategy the Blackhawks need to employ. The other thing that I just want to mention, I know we're going to move on shortly. Stahl brothers are from Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is probably like one of the worst places to live in all, not even just Canada, probably North America, if not the world. Like, there are some scummy people there. And I hope that there are a few people who listen to this podcast, because Thunder Bay, you're getting called out. Like, heel style, I'm going to roll through Tampa Bay. I'm going to crush beers, and then I'm going to stone cold stunner somebody, and then I'm just going to flip the birds and walk off. And that's going to be my time, and that's going to be our time in Thunder Bay, because you're coming with me.
Perfect, Thunder Bay. You did flip-flop between Tampa Bay and Thunder Bay. I think you hit 3 of each, so.
Well, you know what? Roughly equivalent, I would say.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, acceptance and overall inclusivity.
Goddamn shit towns in Ottawa, or in Ontario, sorry. See, there you go. We'll just call it all Ottawa. Keep scrolling up. When's the next Canadian team? 25th from the top. We got the Vancouver Canucks. I know nothing about what's going on in Vancouver. Anything special?
So they had a run. They'd won 10 and 12. I did a dive on them, maybe partway through last week. I think it was, partway through last week, not the week before. They had won 10 and 12. Rick Tocchet appeared to be riding the ship. Since he took over, the team, I think, was top 10 in expected goals for percentage. We saw the same thing with Bruce Boudreau last year. I know that I've heard some talking heads talk about, let's look at next year for the Canucks. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe fuck the Vancouver Canucks, because we've seen them do this dance before. We'll see if there's any carryover effect.
Yeah, why would you try and win that? Like, why now is a 10-game winning streak a good idea?
Yeah, well, I would say that's par for the course for the Canucks organization.
Yeah, like,
I expected nothing else.
We're going to trade Bo Horvat. We'll get a first. But you know what we're going to do? Is we're going to trade that first for Hronek, because what we need is like a 27-year-old defenseman to pair with Quinn Hughes. Galaxy brain, everybody. We don't even need a rebuild.
Guess what? That generational talent, we don't want him. Keep your West Coast boy. We're Vancouver only.
No, like, we've heard about these guys in the past, and like, where's Connor McDavid and like Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes now? They're not even good at hockey. Maybe they should get some new pro scouts.
I don't know what the hell is going on with Vancouver. There's no easy solution.
Well, there is. Brent, there actually is. Just don't trade that first for Hronek. Trade like JT Miller for a package instead of signing him for like 8 years for $8 million, and then just suck for a while and see if you can get Bedard. And then like this summer, you could like know the direction of your franchise.
All right, well, it's easy if you look backwards, but looking forwards, there's no easy solution for this team now.
I'm sure there's some like overrated Swedish-born player that they'll spend a first-round pick on that just won't really turn into anything, and you'll be like, swing and a miss, you know? You miss 100% of the swings you don't take, as Vancouver says, so...
Yep.
Moving up. All right, now, on to 21 from the top. We get to the Ottawa Senators, who are playing... I don't know. Like, they kind of went for it. They're still kind of sucking, you know? Like, I really thought that there was a point maybe 2-3 weeks ago that we had talked. I thought they were... trending forward. They were up and better. They were, we were going to see maybe a playoff appearance by them. You know, a first round matchup. Maybe they get in the last seed. They get to the Bruins. Right now, it looks like they're probably missing the postseason, barring some type of historic falling out from one of the top guys. So what's up with that Ottawa?
So another team that I looked into recently, but not right before the podcast. The Sens are absolutely fucking trash on the road. Like, they are a trash organization away from home. But somehow, they are just exceptional on home ice. And their road record, their road metrics are going to be what keeps them out of the postseason. I don't know if they have enough gas in the tank. The sad shit is that Pittsburgh keeps leaving the door open, and Ottawa keeps stumbling over themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to leave themselves short on runway. 2 weeks left in the regular season. I don't know if they have it in them.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem... But it's tough, right? Like, you get the Leafs tonight. What are the Leafs playing for? Literally nothing, right? They have, like, six goals up or 6 points up on Tampa Bay. 3 goals, like, 2 games in hand. They're like, we're probably second, you know? Like, we're just stuck here. Try and get some chemistry, not get hurt. So you got to take advantage of teams like that, right? So even though you see the big guns coming into town, they're not really trying for a lot, and you're fighting for your life, right? So Down the stretch, we're going to see probably some upsets. So betting on underdogs is probably not the worst thing, and that's what the Sens have to do, is just basically grit and grind and basically have a 2-week mini playoff before the playoff starts. And I don't know if they got it.
I don't think they do. They have a tough schedule.
Yeah.
The teams, like I said, it feels like there are opportunities behind them. They're still the same. Maybe they're 2 points. Last time we recorded, what were they? 6, maybe 7 points out. Basically net zero over the last 2 weeks, despite Pittsburgh dropping some fucking atrocious games. They've lost to, they lost to the Red Wings over that span. They lost to some other bottom feeder, and here the Sens are still 5 or 6 points back. It just, I don't know. They had their shot, they missed it. I really a big part of me wants the Islanders to miss out. I don't know why I have a hate on for the Islanders this year. I just don't like them. I don't want them to do nice. I don't want them to have nice things. So best case scenario in Grant White's world, Pittsburgh usurps the Islanders, Ottawa catches the Islanders, and I just don't think it's going to happen, though.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. However, looking at the home loss record, moving up one spot, Buffalo is 21-11-3 on the road this year. So they are road warriors. So if somehow the Buffalo Sabres and Ottawa Senators could combine into one super team, they'd be unstoppable. You can't beat them on the road, can't beat them at home. Go Meg Sogard. All right, moving up to 16th. Oh, I spoiled it. I went to 15, so the next team. 85 points on the season, the Calgary Flames, who I believe are on the outside of a playoff picture due to last night's games, but it's close. They're damn close with 6 games to go.
So this is a team who hasn't missed their shots. So they basically said, fuck the Vancouver Canucks and Ottawa Senators strategy. We're going to make 100% of the shots that we do take, and the gap is down to 2 points, I believe. Something like that. It's not much. Kudos to the Flames. We didn't think they had it in them. Markstrom is still a big question mark for them in net. But they appear to be closing the gap, and do they play Winnipeg? I think they played Winnipeg once before the end of the season.
Well, that's a big game. Yeah. I kind of actually suspected. I think I had a parlay of Flames beating the Canucks last night, and I thought the Red Wings, if they beat the Jets, they would be tied. And I was like, oh man, that makes it kind of spicy. So I had that pick. Obviously lost because both teams were successful. Because the 15th place team, they're kind of neck and neck here, guys. Winnipeg Jets, 2 points up. Last playoff spot on the line. It's like Calgary's, stepsister rivalry, the Winnipeg Jets. I feel like they've had a couple playoff head-to-head matchups in the last couple years, just kind of the way the wild card works. They seem like they're always kind of chasing each other. It's the most quiet rivalry maybe in Canadian sports. Flames, Jets.
Well, yeah, we talked about this a few weeks ago, too, where it's like the NHL kind of forces it a little bit, or at least they're trying to force it, make it something bigger than it is. I don't know if there's... It'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like trying to force the Vancouver Canucks and Ottawa Senators be like, no, now you're rivals. Feels a little forced. I kind of get it. I kind of don't. But these teams do meet on April 5th, this Wednesday, and that, I will assure you, will go a long way to determining which team ends up with the postseason berth.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be literally the playoffs. So rather than the Senators playing for 2 weeks, these guys are only looking at kind of a couple key matchups. Really, they have to keep pace with each other. And that's a 4-point swing, right? Because the Jets are up 2, they're now up 4. You guys know how that works. So, cool. Yeah, that's a good game to look forward to with the Jets. They just kind of are what they are. A group of talented guys that need an old white man to yell at them. And just don't care some nights.
It goes to show you how fragile this team is. With or without Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck is really the X factor on any given night as to whether or not this team's going to win a game.
And, these two teams that are battling for a playoff spot, and they did the least. Between them, what did they trade? They got Nino Niederreiter and the other guy the Jets traded for. And Nick, not Cousins. Richie? That's it. Those are the additions on these two squads. They probably could have used more. Oh well. Oh
One
well.
day they'll give us the keys to a franchise.
That's it. Is that we only have 2 teams left? Oh my goodness gracious. So we're in the top 10. I don't see. Oh, Seattle's 13th. They finally fallen out of the top 10. Thank you, universe. Number 8, we see the Edmonton Oilers, who are not Pacific leading, but they must be damn close, right?
I think they're within one.
They're in 2 points. Looks 2 points back right now and Vegas has a game in hand.
So kudos to the Oilers. So we got to talk about Matthias Ekholm. I don't know if you watch enough of a lot of the Oilers games. This defenseman, I don't want to say he's been a catalyst. We'll call him that. He is catalyst. He's been a catalyst for this team, and he's made them better. You see him, and even I think he's kind of encouraged a positive mindset shift with Evan Bouchard, because I'm seeing Evan Bouchard be more mindful when he activates, and he activates at the right time. All of that's to say, the Oilers are on a tremendous run, and they should be, because they've been taking on mostly bottom feeders for the last few weeks, and it's been a little bit iffy still. Like overtime wins against the Coyotes and Sharks, both of which were on home ice, I believe. And then they're down on the road to the Coyotes last time out, or a couple of games ago. And then, last time out, they gave the Kings more than they could handle and ended up winning 2-0. So the team will go into the playoffs with a lot of confidence, but how they fare in the postseason is going to depend a lot on where this team finishes. Because a 7-game series against the Kings is going to take a lot out of them, if they can even get past them, if they even have home ice advantage. Mm-hmm. But if they can sneak into the wild card matchup, potentially get a meeting with like Seattle in the first round, I would say that would be the boost, the confidence boost, or the momentum builder that they would need to carry that into the second, third, and maybe even in the Stanley Cup final.
There you go. Yeah, I saw someone posting or someone message that Ekholm's basically the greatest or the biggest acquisition, the most important acquisition the Oilers have made since acquiring Chris Pronger. And I was like, I guess that makes sense. Like, they probably haven't a guy who's actually played defense for them in the last 15 years. So it probably just changes the whole dynamics, right? Now practice just isn't like when they have like the little chart of what we're doing today. There's like offensive plays, and then there was defense was a question mark for a while, and then there's probably showers. So now like Ekholm at least was like, well, maybe we should like practice defense a little bit during that slot rather than just like do nothing.
Let's let Connor do his thing again, guys.
Yeah. Wow! Connor. Woo! Yeah! Woo!
Evan Bouchard and all the defensemen clapping from the bench. Go, Connor!
Guys, why aren't you stopping anyone out there? Coach, all I know how to do is cheer on Connor McDavid. That's what I thought my job was, so... Ekholm's like, no.
The cement cheerer.
Guys, I have like a binder in my bag. Like, there's actually plays we can practice. There's like skills we can develop. Oh! Fuck me.
You don't say.
Fuck me. Well, look at that. So, yeah. And I mean, like I mentioned, the top 2 teams, everyone in the bottom, kind of boring. I wanted to praise Montreal because that was it. Winnipeg, Calgary, probably the most exciting matchup. But, like, I don't know. Sometimes a nice piece of toast with butter on it is fine. But sometimes you just need more in your life. And I feel like the Jets and Flames are just, man, they're just such toast. So boring. Such boring white toast. Oilers... Playoffs are going to be kind of, that their season, unfortunately, is going to decide how the postseason goes with that matchup. Same with the number 6 team right now. Oh, yeah, behind the Rangers. Look at that. Toronto Maple Leafs. 8 games remaining. They're not going anywhere. Tampa Bay is 4 points behind them, and the Leafs have 2 games in hand. So it would be a pretty epic collapse to lose home ice advantage in that first round matchup against Tampa Bay right now. I think they're just keeping on. Hopefully get O'Reilly back. Makari's coming back at some point. Develop some chemistry. Not get hurt. Austin Matthews looks like he's been playing some really, really good hockey in the game against Florida the other night. He had the puck for probably 4 or 5 minutes on the ice, and he looked better than everyone else. Like, he kept his distance. At one point, he just skated around, and no one could touch him. And when they did get close, he'd make a power move or a deke and just be like, it was, something to behold. And I know Friedman's been saying on 32 Thoughts for a while that he believes that Matthews has been tapering. He knows it's not a regular season. He's not a regular season award. Like, getting those awards don't mean as much as playoff success. So he's trying to taper to get better for the postseason. We've been seeing that. He's been shooting a lot. He had 15 shots against Carolina Hurricanes. Was it last Saturday? We had 15 shots. Tampa Bay at one point this season had 15 shots in total. So Matthews is playing at a different level right now. So for FanDuel lineups, playing some good hockey. It's probably worth the price at that point. Other than that, there were some rumors in the last couple weeks that Keefe might be on the hot seat this summer. So give this team kind of another go-round, kind of rebuild, keep it going, but change coaching. Because maybe they're just kind of getting tired of hearing that voice. He's not... his lineup decisions in game are starting to look pretty bad. So we'll start that fun game.
I don't have a lot to say about Matthews. But I do want to touch on Keefe, because the saddest shit is that, like, he continues to get the most out of this team, and I don't think that he deserves to be on the hot seat. I know that. Anyways, we could talk about that if it happens. I hope it doesn't happen, because that guy, I don't want to say he's revolutionized the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he has gotten the most out of them, out of all the coaches that they've had recently. So I think it would be a fucking huge loss, and like they wouldn't be able to replace him if they do miss out on a postseason run, or if they don't make a decent postseason run. And if nothing else, this looks badly on Dubas. And I know that I've shit on Dubas for his goaltending, but praised him for all his other trades. But if we take a higher level view of the situation, he is nonstop with his tinkering of this roster, bringing people in, role players, like just nonstop shuffling. At a certain point, we can't look at the coach and say, this is the coach's fault. Like, this is 100%. If this team doesn't succeed, this is on Dubas. He has tried absolutely everything, and it doesn't work.
But Grant, he gave Keefe 9 NHL-ready defensemen and wanted to manage those 9 guys in 6 different spots for, like, 2 months of hockey and into the postseason. How could he not figure that out?
My God. So, yeah. We'll see. I want to see where the dust settles with this. If the Leafs lose in the first round again, it should be Dubas' head that rolls and not O'Keefe's. But the other thing that not Keefe's, the only thing that I wanted to say about the Atlantic Division is what a boring fucking division this was. Boston, Toronto, Tampa Bay, from basically the second game of the season onwards. Nothing has changed.
You know what? I think the Leafs had a rocky start. They went something like 4-6, and the sky was falling. And then since then, they've been in second place.
Skip the formality. Let's just fucking give these teams a month off. Say, guess what? We'll pick things back up in April. Rest up. You're 3 of the best 5 teams in the NHL. You're going to need your rest because you're all going to have to go through each other. Giddy up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Kind of boring. And we probably spent too much time on the boring teams at top. All right, cool. Before we leave NHL.com and get into gambling and fantasy guys, I don't know what I can do. You're whining and I'm petting you. Like, some dogs are just internally ungrateful. My arm's getting tired. I've been petting you constantly for like 30 minutes. Let's see. We're going to do some... We got to make fun of our favorite NHL fantasy picks. They went 0 for 4 last 2 weeks. They just give 4 random stats, and we laugh at them. Ready for tonight's picks? Courtesy of NHL.com?
This is what I look forward to every podcast. This is my new favorite segment, shitting on NHL.com.
Okay, so we got 4 players. We got a goal tonight. Raphael Harvey Pinard, forward for the Montreal Canadiens. He's definitely scoring against Carolina.
I didn't even know who he played for.
I had to write down Montreal forward to identify him. All right, so you want an assist? Miguel Sergachev, Tampa Bay Islanders? Yeah, okay, all right, maybe. Okay. Power play point, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Sure, okay, great. That's maybe one of the most competent picks I've ever seen this site make.
Straight up. Kudos to NHL.com.
And finally, shots on goal, Timo Meier. Jersey at the Blackhawks when they're up 3-0. You know what Meyer's doing? Just throwing pucks on net. They're definitely not just running the clock out or anything. So great picks there, courtesy of NHL.com. And you can't get better than that. You can't get better than going 1 for 4.
It's the best we've seen them do probably since we introduced this segment. I think that this is the most robust lineup or name dropping we've seen.
the actual play. Well, except Harvey Pinard, but I don't know. I don't know what you do about that. So, yeah. Other than that, I guess they do it daily. So maybe because it's daily, we just get like a glimpse, like 1/7 of these random players. I don't know. It's still bizarre. Really weird. I'm not logged into FanDuel. There's my login info if you're interested.
Oh, God. You know what? I know I'll toot my own horn in another segment. DFS is not going my way this year. I don't know if you're logged in. You got it all sorted out yet.
Yeah.
534th of 595. Not a good showing for a guy like Grant. 86.1 points. Basically, the only guy who with a noteworthy performance was Thatcher Demko. 34.4. Basically, half of my points. Other than that, there's really nothing. Morgan Riley, 14.9 points. Braden Point, 11.2, and then everybody else was below 7.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got 151 points, finished 14th, because, man, there was some gangbusters last week. I had big performances from Tim Stretzel, 26.8 points, Mitch Marner, 26.9 points, Brady Tkachuk, I think he had an overtime winner, or maybe a tying goal to send it to overtime.
3 seconds to go, yeah.
Yeah, so 38.9 points from him. Then I did have a big 0 from Troy Stretcher. He was kind of like the weak point, but it was just a very competitive week. Like, top scorer, 201 points. I got back $1. It's not bad. I think it was just a high-scoring week. I just couldn't keep up. After me, I'm like 151. It doesn't drop off that much. Like, even 139 points got you nothing. So I think it was just a high-scoring week. I was thankfully on the right side, so I was feeling pretty good. How did they do today? I don't know. We'll find out. And I started my goalie. That was pretty excited.
That's it. Like, that feels like it's an X. As fucking pathetic as that is, the X factor for your successes is the goaltender starting.
Oh,
and if so, Mick normally wins.
And my problem was, I think almost my guys had played early on, so I was like first, as I'm watching it live. And I was looking, and Brian Elliott, Tampa Bay's goalie, had 0 points. And I was like, I can't believe I missed another goalie. This is unbelievable. Like, what's wrong with me? No. It's just because Brian Elliott had let in like 3 easy goals early on against Montreal and was actually at 0 points because he was negative for so much of the game that he actually didn't get any points until they got the win. I think all of his points came from the W's because he was such poor performance.
12 good ones, 12 good points.
I guess. So today, I'm just going to keep rolling. I like my lineup, find a crappy goalie, and roll with that. So I'm going to start in net, guys. I'm starting with Ivan Prostvet. He's the starting goalie for the Arizona Coyotes. They're playing San Jose tonight. Who's winning that game? Who cares? I think for $6,500, it's worth it. Coin flip, at least you're getting 12 points from a win, independent of that. On the back end, I've got Marcus Foligno and Ryan Strome, Minnesota Wild and Anaheim Ducks, respectively, $36 and $4,200. They are first-line players. First-line minutes sometimes get points, so I don't hate that on utility. On defense, I got Jared Spurgeon, plays in the first pairing, and Jake Sanderson, $5,000, $4,600, respectively. I had to go a little cheap at one of my wingers at Seth Jarvis. I think I had him a couple weeks ago, and he did literally nothing. I really hope I don't pay for the $4,600 I spend with him. And then my big 3, Connor McDavid, Alexander Barkov, Mitch Marner, down the middle. 3 of the best players on their teams. Basically, the offensive flows through those 2 teams, maybe outside of, like I said, Matthews is playing better. If he had like a multiple point performance tonight, I wouldn't doubt it. But I like McDavid. He's the high dog. $10,500, $7,300, and $8,000 for Barkov and Mitch Marner, respectively. Damn.
I knew as you were starting on the back end and I was listening to the salaries, I was like, man, he went big with the top 3. I knew that you had to, and you did. I respect all 3 of those picks.
They asked if I could do it, if I could sign all 3 on my team, and I said I could, and I will.
So I share that enthusiasm for Connor McDavid. I've got him on kind of a Oilers semi-stack. So Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I did have Stuart Skinner in, but I yanked him out in favor of another Tendy, and I added Cody Ceci. Nuge and Ceci. So Nuge is coming off a 5-point performance a few nights ago. He's been amping it up. He's, if not at 100, he's damn close. Likewise, Connor McDavid's inching in on the 300-goal benchmark. We've seen Evander Kane do it. We've seen Leon Draisaitl do it. It feels like Connor McDavid's turn is next. So, you know how the universe kind of likes to show us who's boss, like, on a daily basis, anytime we open our mouths? I knew we were going to shit on Eric Stahl today, so I included Eric Stahl to try and balance that out a little bit.
All right.
So maybe tempting the universe a little bit here, maybe not. I don't know. Eric Stahl's my other center, $3,900 against Columbus. We'll see how it goes.
Points will be scored.
Well, yeah, well, hopefully. Sergei Bobrovsky and whoever Columbus is starting, there's not going to be a whole lot of... Goaltending is not going to be an emphasis.
Elvis has left the building. Isn't that your guy, Elvis Lincoln? Is that his name?
Elvis Lincolns, yeah.
Cool.
On my other winger that I have up front, Arthur Kaliev. He's with the Wings. Mm-hmm. He's been performing well up until his most recent game. He was above average in 5 straight, and then he just fell off. So I'm expecting him to bounce back a little bit with a good effort against the Seattle Kraken. Other defensemen, I splurged on D-men. I never do this. Victor Hedman, he seemed undervalued. Bolts at home against the Islanders. This guy does everything. What was it? $5,900 felt like he was coming too cheap, so I loaded up on him. 2 utility spots. Marcus Johansson, he's been on a heater. He's running hot. Drake Batherson. We love ourselves some Drakey B. He's on my roster. Marc-Andre Fleury rounds out the roster. Wild playing in Vegas. I don't know if this is his first game back in Vegas, but it feels like a good fuck you spot where it's like, guess what? Yeah. I'm now on a playoff contender, a division-leading playoff contender. Go fuck yourself, Vegas. So I think that it's kind of one of those salty revenge spots for Fleury.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, I kind of had a coin toss in one of my parlays I was doing later in the show, and I was like, I kind of like Fleury coming back to Vegas and just like, flipping everybody off and stone cold stuttering somebody. So yeah,
we need more of that in our lives.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Well done. I like it. I like the strategy. Paying for D-men. I don't know if it's worth it. I've never looked into it, right? Like D-men in my mind is just such a random position. I'm like, they get 3 points, they get 1. Like I can't discern what the strategy with that is. So good luck.
Yeah, and neither do I. So normally I register in $1 contests. Like that's just I know who I am. DFS is not my thing. Yep. I couldn't help myself. I was like, fuck this. I actually think that this is a decent roster. I entered it in the 555 contest. Winner gets $2,000. Never won a FanDuel contest in my life. Maybe tonight's the night I shake the shit monkey off my back.
Sick. Yeah, I've never really thought of that. I know I had almost a winner a couple weeks ago, minus I didn't put a goalie in, and I lost by 5 points, and I was like, that's unfortunate. I would have won $10. My $1 turned into 10. I was excited about that. I've been really salty if it was like $2,000 I missed out on. So, oh boy. So, good luck to everyone.
We'll get it. One of these days, we'll get it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So that's our advice. I'm staying with my cheap goalie. I do have $700 to play with. So the caveat, if you did a lineup similar to mine, just keep an eye on goalies, right? If something changes, you could upgrade a little bit, right? So. And picking the last game of the night, man, that's the best spot to be in because then you're definitely just screwed. I mean, you definitely can't put a goalie in at 7:30 when you look in your phone.
And honestly, that's part of what I liked about this lineup too. I was like, there's some late hockey games on here. I was like, I'm gonna be like, you're gonna see old Grant White climbing the standings late in the night, just fucking huffing her. We'll see how high we get.
My best game was I think it was an over in a Carolina Kings game, and it was an 8:30, 10:30 start or something, the last game of the night, and it was great. There was lots of scoring. I went from 42nd out of 50 to top 10. Great feeling. Awesome. Recommend. Oh, hi dog. Hello. All right. So with that leads us into gambling. Favorite segment. I believe I lost last week. I gave some advice that you should just take was it Leafs? Oh no, I put myself in a Leafs -1.5 or Senators to win. So the Leafs winning in overtime was the worst thing for me. And not only that, but you had that game going to overtime. So that was literally the worst case scenario for me. And Leafs won in overtime. So pew pew pew.
Yeah, I hit both my overtime picks. Who was I can't remember if I said it out loud, but so I hit both my overtime picks. I had an underdog team that I swapped out with another underdog team, Anyways, if I would have just left it as is, I would have hit all three. Whoever I swapped them out for, I want to say it was Dallas. Or no, I can't remember. I'd have to go back and listen to the tape. But irrespective, 2 out of 3, or I guess technically 2 out of 4 ain't bad, especially when both the ones that hit are overtime bets. I think that puts me up to about 1,400-ish, 1,400 on the season. And my strategy has been working so well that I'm going back to the well. You know what to expect from me today. technically 4 picks. What do you got on?
You lead off. I've got 2.
All right, here we go. So just chatted about it. The Minnesota Wild at Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas isn't a team that's just going to roll over and die, but I do like this spot for the Minnesota Wild. They've been playing well, if albeit unsustainably, but I'm not dumb enough to bet against a hot goalie, especially in this spot. But I do think Vegas is going to walk away with at least a point. Minnesota had been on an overtime stretch for a little while. I think they had gone to overtime in like 6 of 10 games or something like that. Vegas, I think they're coming off an overtime game. To me, it just kind of, there's too many coincidences to just not bet this game to go to overtime or a shootout. $30 at plus 350 to win 105.
Solid. So we're down to the thralls of the season. I've got 268. I'm up 268 on the year. 2 weeks to go. If I lose out, I end up plus money. I'm okay with that. Grant has much more money than me, so the only way to catch up is I got to take some big swings here, guys. So we're going to see some parlays down the pipe, and I'm going for it. If I can get to like half of his bankroll, because he's had a very successul season, I'd be happy with that. So that's kind of my goal. See if I can win about $500 here in the last couple weeks. So I've got 2 3-team parlays coming at you. Let's see what happens. So tonight I like some overs. I think we're going to see some goal scoring. I think defense overrated this late in the season. Ottawa Senators, Maple Leafs tonight. Over 6.5 goals, minus 137. And then the over, Dallas, Colorado. Dallas played last night. Maybe they're a little tired, a little sloppy. Colorado can give up some points once in a while. And then I like the Oilers. Well, I don't like the Oilers, minus 2.5 goals, but they should be able to beat the Ducks. I'm hoping it's not a close affair. All those 3 parlayed together, plus 554. $50 on that to win $326.
Well, I respect the hell out of the approach. You can make it close with a couple parlays to end the season. Those ones, I like those picks. Maybe we'll go... Yeah, we'll save that one for last. Or you know what? Here we go. I'll just let it all rip because you only got one left anyways. Dallas Stars, money line, plus 138 against Colorado. Colorado is falling apart. It feels like they exhausted. We see this every year, and I talk about it every once in a while, but metrics eventually balance out with themselves. Feels like Colorado paid for last year's championship with this year's metrics. They're just having no puck luck finding the back of the net. They're at home against Dallas. Dallas is kind of fighting for their playoff lives. Not playoff lives, but Central Division title lives. Mm-hmm. I don't like Colorado in this spot just by virtue of them shitting the bed consistently, and Dallas does seem to be trending upwards. So at plus 138, I figured it was worth a roll of the dice with the Dallas Stars. $30 to win 41.40. My other pick, we laugh about this because it's basically like the second most forgettable matchup. Like Florida versus Columbus is pretty forgettable. San Jose versus Coyotes, you know what? I would give it to this matchup. Forgettable. I say this all the time. These bottom-feeding teams just deserve each other sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a shitty hockey game. Somebody has to win, but it's not going to be in regulation. At plus 370, I don't care who wins because I just hope that it goes to overtime. $30 to win 111. You parlay all 3 of those together, $10 gets you $493.37.
All right. So my second parlay, I like the Kings. I saw them earlier at plus 100. I love plus money. I think the Kings play good hockey. Yeah, they've had a rough road trip. I think they got beat up a little bit by the Canadian teams. They're in the Kraken tonight. I think they have a chance, though. Like, this team, for some reason, they don't look good on paper. I don't believe in them, but they get results. I'm going to be on the Minnesota Wild side of the Vegas. I like that coin flip game. I think the Wild just, have a bit more to play for. Actually, I guess both teams will have a lot to play for, but I don't know. I kind of like the Dogs and the Wild. I'll put some money on that. And then the other boring coin toss game, Arizona? Why not? They're at home. It's a shitty arena. No one wants to be there except for the Coyotes. Maybe there's some cute ASU girls. It's springtime, right? I don't know. Maybe they want to put on a show, see if they can't get lucky. Because they play in Arizona. They're clearly not that lucky. They got to do the little battle. So I like Kings, Wild, Coyotes, all those three parlayed together, plus 682, $50 to win 363.
Damn. Well, best of luck to you with those picks. We got a good smattering today, hey? We're not all locked in on one or two games. I like it.
Yeah, a good diversity. I mean, at this point, my strategy was just have enough that I can end on a positive note and then just take big swings. That's what I've been gunning for about 2 or 3 weeks here. I'm always such a scheisler. I look at a game and I'm like, how can I take advantage of this? Grant knew that. He knew it was coming. So I'm glad hopefully he's not disappointed.
You know what I'm going to do? In the spirit, you know what? I'm going to keep it. I'm going to leave some intrigue out there. I think we've got 2 regular season shows left, or maybe just one.
It'll be one, yeah, next week, and then the season's done on the Friday, so it'll be a playoff preview after that. So really, we have one show after this.
Okay, well, I'm fucking swinging heavy next week. I got something special up my sleeve. Excited to revisit Bettor Advice for the regular season.
I have a 12-team parlay.
All 100. Well, that was actually, you fucking pulled. It was going to be
okay.
Every game. I was going to pick a winner from every game. So
right.
There you go. Cat's out of the bag. Tune in next week for my 12, whatever. I don't even know how many games there are. Whatever the number of games are. $100 bet parlay. The big whale splash of the season.
Oh my gosh. If you go into the postseason, you're like, yeah, Mick did all right. He ended up with like plus 300. That's pretty good return. I, on the other hand, ended up with $17,000. Probably more than that, right?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the card reveals next week.
All right. Yeah, let's leave some intrigue. So you got to come back next week, find out how much money can you possibly win. All underdogs too. Just take all the plus money.
Oh man, we rattled through stuff quickly today. Here we are, 50 minutes in.
Because literally only the Jets and Flames are playing any meaningful hockey at this point. Like, the Senators are trying, but they just keep, like, falling down. And you're like, well, I don't want to watch this anymore. It's embarrassing. And that's it. Like, nothing else is going on. They're just kind of quiet, I think, into the final stretches here, so...
That's always the case with the penultimate episode. The penultimate episode is always, like, setting the stage for what comes next. So maybe you're right. Maybe this is the calm before the storm. But... Canada Puck Podcast would not be the Canada Puck Podcast without our babe of the week. Not pulling any punches with this one. Popular lady, this gal. She, you see her on TV, you see her on advertisements, and the more I see of her, the more I like her. Sarah Nurse. Nursey, 16, Nursey, 16. Hockey babe. I would say female hockey royalty, and she's got the looks to match. Every time she's on TV, I'm like, God damn, Sarah Nurse, you are 100% a dime, and I'm so sad that Leon Draisaitl banged you and Darnell Nurse had to punch him in the face because of it. But, nevertheless, Sarah Nurse, our babe of the week, Schwing.
Schwing, yeah. No, nice work, good work. And even on the cover art of the last NHL game, right? Her and Zegras made the cover, so that's good. That's a big there you go. There's some inclusivity. What a novel concept. We do have some time. That kind of wraps up the show. Puts a stamp on it. The bandwagon has been sound for another week. Before we go though, we do have some time. Grant, how do you like fast baseball?
I think it's the dumbest fucking thing. I just want a big part of me wants to go. I'm going to go to as many stadiums as I can this year.
Okay.
In all reality, it's probably going to be 2, maybe 3, best case scenario 4. But as many as I can get to, and I'm just going to go get extra shouty in front of the microphones, and I'm going to say, the game is moving too slow, and just fucking yell it and get people around me all riled up. This game's still too slow! Just so that we can get baseball to take out make even more meaningful or less meaningful rules. Like, I want novelty-sized bases. Like, I want 5-foot bases where you get to, like, fucking head fake your way onto it. or like you get to throw a punch and then you get to the base. Like, I want baseball to be the novelty that it is making itself out to be.
So what you're saying is you want like belly flop baseball, like elementary school belly flop, like the big mats are out and you're kicking the ball and you're running and you can like have as many guys on bases at a time.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna get all riled up. I'm gonna bring signs. I'm gonna be at stadiums. I hope, my sincerest hope, is that you see me making fun of baseball, making fun of itself, and really turning everything in on its head. So,
but what does it all mean?
Good brag out. I watched. Go ahead.
Yeah, obviously you've watched much more baseball than myself. I find it moves too fast to almost follow because I'm used to a more chill. Like I put on a couple games last year and I do yard work. You know, I resodded my lawn. Perfect. I watched the whole baseball game. I didn't miss a single action, like at bat. Now, if you put on a baseball game and you do anything else, like you check your phone, you look and it's like 2 innings later and you're like, what the hell happened? Like all I did was just got a bag of chips. There's no way a bag of chips takes 2 innings. Like it moves ridiculously fast and you see players making some errors. I don't know if it's something to stay. I think the pitch clock is too fast. Like, I think 15 seconds, just like pulse, it moves the game along. It makes it faster. Sure, great. I think you could use 20 seconds because guys still need like a little bit of time to like for composure, or like maybe no pitch clock in the final couple innings, right? After 7th, the last 2, no pitch clock. Pitchers, take your time, right? Like, you want that drama, you want that emotion a little bit, right?
And so so that's a valid point. I was talking about this with someone else a little while ago about like, not to make this more meta than it needs to be, but let's fast forward to the bottom of the ninth in the World Series with nobody on base, and these fucking guys are just like, no time, as you were saying, to compose themselves.
Yeah.
It's just like, vroom, 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 like fucking Elf or Will Ferrell in Elf when he's just unloading those snowballs on those poor unsuspecting teenagers. I don't get the appeal, and even on the broadcast, I heard somebody, I can't remember which one I was watching. Someone was like, oh yeah, there was a game done in 2 hours and 20 minutes earlier today. How is that a good thing? Why are you fucking advertising this as a good thing? Everything is going up. You're paying more for seats. You're paying more for beers. You're paying more for food, for souvenirs. And it's like, guess what? Now you get less of it. You get 2 hours of this. Don't leave your seat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I'm glad that they're being innovative and they're doing things, right? I don't think products need to be stale just for stale sake. And baseball kind of had that old hat, like they have kind of the hockey guard, like, oh, this is the traditions. You got to remember Mickey Mantle. We're like, yes, we all remember Mickey Mantle, but like we want to be excited about new things too, right? Like we can have both. So I'm glad that they've taken the initiatives. I just feel like they're always making like too big of leaps. But it's better than not taking leaps at all. I don't know. Like I think I think sports fans are just miserable. There's no way of making everyone happy. So
one of the changes, make bases bigger. No one's gonna fucking complain if you make the base paths a little shorter by making the bases bigger. But then you add in the pitch clock, and then the only throwing over to first twice, and then the only one batter timeout per at bat, and then only 6 mound visits. Like it's just like fuck. It's just a fucking joke. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And, like, I don't want to shit on them for, you're right, trying to be innovative. There are things that change. Like, I'm glad that the postseason expanded. Absolutely fantastic baseball change. Base paths, you know what? I could kind of see that. But, like, all this other nonsense is just too much. Like, I hope that this is just, like, a footnote that we can look back on and be like, oh, guess what? Pitchers' stats skyrocketed in 2023 because we had all these goofy rules and nobody could hit the ball anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you're going to see such variation, right? So any fantasy guys, just guys on your local team that were good in the past. I don't know if there's statistics to look at like how often they would like or pitch time per player. Like I don't know if that's a stat that is tracked, right? But like there's going to be some guys that just fall off a cliff. We're going to see some guys out of nowhere come up, and we're going to have like brand new stars that can just manage the game. They work a little quicker. Like what was that? Blue Jays, Mark Burley? He used to throw like 2-hour games before, like in the old days. Like that was his, like, he's like, no nonsense. He gets the ball, he pitches, right? Like guys are built differently. So there's going to be some of the guys we've considered superstars are just fucked now. Like they're done. Like their careers might be over, right? So it's, I don't know. We'll see. It's good and bad. And, no more lazy baseball afternoons. You got to fucking get in there and get
It's this high strung mentality now. Oh God. You know what? The other thing, I kind of fucking resisted it a little bit at first because I think it took away something from the Rays, and that is the shift. Rays pioneered this, everybody adopted it, and they took it away. I don't mind that, actually. That was one of the, like, if you add that with the bigger base paths, let's see how that impacts offense first, rather than throwing in these stupid fucking, like, oh, you can only pick off a guy twice, or it's a balk on the third one, or, 15 to 20 seconds pitch clock. Just, like, to me, it just, I don't know, feels unneeded.
Agreed. Cool. Awesome. So with that, have anything else? We good? We done?
Man, I guess so. For now, playoff season's right around the corner. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah. One more regular season show, and then that's it. Postseason. And then the show just gets chaotic and wild, and we don't even know if we'll finish at that point. So, but on the plus side, at least 2 more shows this year.
Damn. And I'm already out of hockey, babe, so I'm going to have to do a deep dive here and figure out exactly what... More babes. More hockey babes.
I don't envy you in your quest, sir.
At least Instagram gets me these days.
Yeah, smart.
Just cool. Basically cycling through babes.
Perfect. Awesome. So that's... We done? We out?
Thank you, fuck you, say too.
Awesome. All right. Bye, guys. Oh, actually, sorry. Party on, Grant?
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.